This episode is about helping people before and after leaving Islam. It's part of the group Philosophy, Ready to Learn More Philosophy. And we're on what would convince you that Sagan's invisible garage dragonism is the truth. Uh, Someone came up with this question. I wish I put his name in here. Suppose someone comes to you and says, there's an invisible dragon in your garage. How do you go about judging that theory? What would convince you that there really is an invisible dragon in your garage? My answer in the comments. Oh, here we go. I did put his name. This is a credit to BillyCromag for asking me this question in a previous post. And by the way, this is referring to Carl Sagan, who's a scientist. It's like the 60s and 70s. And I'm guessing Carl Sagan had this idea initially. So let's read some comments. Avorias in summer. I proved it to be false. There's only one invisible dragon, and he's not in your garage. He's in mine. Seriously, though, if there's no way to detect the supposed dragon, then what choice have you got but to assume it doesn't exist? Otherwise, you open the gates to other faulty thinking, which could harm you and those around you, thinking that ghosts are real or crystals have healing properties and so on. The thing is, a lot of people do believe this stuff. How do you judge the soul concept? This is just me egging him on further to see how he deals with the soul concept. He says, I have not looked into it much, but I can agree with the general opinion I've seen by other atheists. We most likely don't have a soul, at least not the very vague thing that's described by various religions. So I clarified there's no soul. What I asked people who believe in souls is this: what organ is responsible for the soul? And note that the mind concept doesn't have this problem. There is no organ, and nobody ever answers what organ is responsible for the soul. But for the mind, we do have the answer to that question. It's the brain. The main issue with the soul concept is that it doesn't explain anything. It's vague, so it's wrong on account of being vague. It's also unfalsifiable. So here's what I would do. Step one, I have to hear the details of the theory. Once they've been submitted, then I'll move on to the next step. But I want to be clear. I guess this doesn't matter too much, but this one, I wouldn't even look at it because it looks so ridiculous at first glance. But suppose I did look at it, I would scrutinize the details of that theory. I will look for flaws. I will surely have questions. And if I was able to get answers to all my questions, such that at the end of that whole process, I still did not find a flaw in the theory, then I would adopt the theory, since I see no flaws with it. But to be clear, as soon as I found a single flaw, I'd stop. The theory is rejected for being flawed. No need to go further. Finding a second flaw doesn't change the conclusion. Finding a thousandth flaw doesn't change it either, and so on. So here's an example question I would ask of this theory. Why is it invisible? If the answer is vague, I will call it out for being vague, which is a flaw, and I'd be done. Suppose, what is it? Here's another example question. Sorry. This is an example way that I could be convinced that I'm wrong about the vagueness flaw. Suppose you think that the claim that I think something is vague is not actually vague. You could explain to me in a way where I'm convinced it's not vague, and then I'll admit that it doesn't have the vagueness flaw. And then somebody comes up with the easy idea. How about you use spray paint or flour and throw it on the invisible dragon to see if there, but I guess it could be somewhere else. I don't know. It's a good idea. I don't know how far you can take it. But anyway, that's it for this video.